of Bama Football on YouTube. We are going to try this again. Today is Thursday, November 21st. I appreciate you guys being here. Today on the show, we're talking Alabama basketball following its victory over Illinois. We are talking the fact that Bama absolutely wants to be in the title game. Dave Portnoy, the presidente of Barstool Sports, drops $100,000 on the game. What's up, KTK? I appreciate you being here. Talk about the college football playoff odds. And after Portnoy dropped that $100K, it got me into this wormhole. I started thinking about the college football odds. And then what I did this morning is I put the college football seedings next to the way that Vegas would seed the teams. It's interesting. What's up, Jarvis? I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. Anytime you get a win over a Big Ten team, right, or the big conference, because the big in basketball, absolutely, those guys can bang. Same thing with the ACC, all right? Bowl prediction Thursday and more Alabama versus Oklahoma talk. And, of course, we will look at the college football schedule, all right, from the Big 12, the Big 10, ACC, SEC. And if you're here for the second time, we had a little bit of technical difficulties. All I saw was a stream cut, so we're just starting over. The internet, you can't stress about the internet. It's just, you know what I'm saying? So we push forward. Now, I appreciate you guys joining me today. Here is the outlook for the game this Saturday. This is courtesy of North Alabama Storm Chase. And you have a kickoff time at 6:30. The tailgate is 65 degrees. The game time is 60 degrees. And then for that fourth quarter, it is 57. So it looks like a fantastic weekend for college football. Yeah, so if you're inside the chat, I'll be transparent with you guys. So look, I'm testing moving my shows to the fan funders to obviously help continue to support my cause. I'm not backed by, any sort of organization. So all the fan funding certainly helps. This is how I literally get by. So I appreciate you guys always supporting me right here on the YouTube channel. So I appreciate you guys. You guys have your jobs. I have my job, and this is what I choose to do. So that always helps. So it's like $2.99 to support the product right here on Bama Football on YouTube. So if you are not a fan funder, I appreciate you guys thinking about becoming a fan funder. It certainly helps out. So I appreciate you guys, and that's the game day forecast for Saturday. Alabama basketball last night picked up its fourth victory of the season. As I was watching this basketball game, anytime you get a victory over a big conference team, it's impressive to me. Now, recently, Alabama lost to Purdue. I didn't throw in the towel on this team. This team is that good. And Grant Nelson is that guy. And he is playing such a high level early on in the season, which is great for Alabama basketball. And I'm gonna show the stats, but a couple things to hit on. LeBaron Philon, the guy earned the Hard Hat Award with 16 points and 9 assists. That's given out to Nate Oates for a player that absolutely brings it, right? Just a freshman. If you haven't had an opportunity to watch Alabama basketball yet, watch number 0. Alabama has a phenom freshman, a couple of them on the football team, and certainly one on the basketball team. This Philon kid is absolutely it. And then, Mark Sears had 0 points, okay? He was 0 for 5 from the field. Just, it wasn't his best performance. The thing that I love, 2 things. Number 1, what I love about this is how I know Alabama basketball is going to be a contender. Mark Sears, one of the most coveted players coming back to this coming season, or to this season. He goes 0 of 5 from the field. Struggle bus. He takes himself out of the lineup. That's leadership, okay? They get back to Tuscaloosa. Guess what he does? Yeah, I'm sure you saw this already. he goes to the gym and he stays out till like 3 a.m. hitting buckets. I love it. Am I worried that he scored 0 points? No. Have you ever had a bad day? Yes. What do? You get back to it, okay? So you get back to it and you next game mentality, next day mentality. You didn't cry about it. Look, sometimes you're just not feeling it. Sometimes you're just not on. Sometimes the buckets just aren't going in. So I love that. And I love the performance of Grant Nelson. When we dive in to the stat box, particularly, right, a couple things stand out. LeBaron Fallon up at the top, 16 points. And he was 7 of 13 from the field, 2 of 2 from the free throw line. He had 7 rebounds. I think he also had, and he had 9 assists. Yo, like, that's it, okay? You have Mark Sears. Obviously, we talked about him. We talked about Wrightsell, kind of his early season. He had 16 last night. He was 6 of 7 from the free throw line and 2 of 4 from beyond the arc. And then you had Grant Nelson, who had a wonderful night, 23 points, 9 of 15 from the field, right? But check this out, 4 of 9 from three-point land, right? 8 rebounds and 2 assists. That is a stellar night for Grant Nelson. And I was talking with someone inside the comment box where I saw some comments about Grant Nelson kind of on the defensive side. I think when you look to Grant Nelson, he's not he will play defense, and I've seen him block shots before, but that is not his game. He is more of an offensive type player. He's not like, even though he's 6'11", he's not a big, right? The big is Amori, who had 6 points last night and 6 boards. Aiden Holloway, how about him? 18 points last night, 3 of 4 from beyond the arc. The team shot 84% from the free throw line, which is an improvement. 32% from three-point land, pretty solid. I'd like to see that number go a little bit higher. And then from the field, 52%. It's going to be tough to beat this team when they're shooting 52% from the field. They beat Illinois by a score of 100-87. Now, I appreciate you guys joining me this morning right here on Bama Football on YouTube. As we look to Alabama's basketball schedule, here's what it looks so far. 4-1 on the season. Wins over UNC Asheville, Arkansas State, McNeese, a loss to Purdue, and a win over Illinois. You know, that McNeese team was really good. They were scrappy. Next on the schedule, on the 26th, you take on Houston, who's currently ranked number 7. Alabama's number 8. Then you have Rutgers, North Carolina, and Creighton. Look at this schedule. Alabama's basketball schedule is absolutely loaded. Houston, Rutgers, North Carolina, and Creighton. This is can you imagine if they go 4-0? Man, this is the gauntlet. I'm not going to lie, that was kind of a mini gauntlet to begin the season too. But this is a gauntlet right here. Even North Dakota. I'd have to dive into North Dakota, but typically, that's where Grant Nelson came from. Typically, North Dakota, they can bang. Big dudes inside the paint. Hell of a stretch, though, right, coming up. Notably nice kind of during this time is you get a couple days off, so you'll be able to watch some of these games, stay up a little bit later, right? So Houston, Rutgers, North Carolina, I don't even care what their record is down this next stretch. What's going to happen is their strength of schedule will probably be number 1 in the nation. They're going to continue to be battle tested from this schedule. And when you start to turn to the new year, you're going to be battle tested and you understand kind of your depth of your lineup. And like I said earlier, with Mark Sears scoring 0 points and them still beating Illinois 100-87, that shows you the depth on the team. That shows me that Holloway can step up. That shows me that Phylon can step up. You don't have to just go off of Mark Sears. What was he averaging last season? There was a stretch, right, where he hit 20 points consecutively for so long. Like, Mark Sears is going to come around. He had a bad night. Everyone has a bad night. But 100% battle tested. So, good win from the Crimson Tide last night against a quality Illinois team who is ranked number 25 in the country. So, coming up next, a gauntlet. Can't wait to see it. Love it. Which kind of brings me to my next point. Before I get to Portnoy dropping 100,000, I saw Tyler Booker talking about the fact that Alabama 100% wants to play for the SEC championship game. And I bring this up because recently we are kind of going back and forth about the pros and cons of Alabama playing in the SEC title game, right? Like, are they going to be impacted if they don't get into the SEC title game? Are they going to be impacted if they get there and they lose? Well, the team's leaders and the mentality of this team is they want to eat and they want to play at the highest level and they want an SEC championship. In fact, on their pyramid inside the locker room is the SEC championship. It doesn't say like kind of weasel around it and get in the playoffs. It says win the SEC title, then get into the playoffs. That's the type of mentality you want. And two things. Number one, you win the SEC title, you probably seeded number 1 or number 2. It does a lot for recruiting, specifically during that point in time, right? But I was also thinking about this. Think about how well Alabama has played after an open week. I think they've played their 2 best games, at least the first half against Georgia, right? That was coming after open week. And the way that they played against LSU, I think we can all agree that was their best game collectively against, a top 25 opponent, right? So Alabama 1,000,000% wants to be in the title game. If Missouri wins 1 game during these next 2 games, Alabama's going in. We've talked about why. If Missouri loses those 2 games, it looks like Georgia goes in the SEC championship game. And so be it. Then you host a game. So Alabama's in a really good position right now. If they can avoid this type of talk and focus on Oklahoma, a team that would love to derail the Crimson Tide. But point being, they want the title. They want to be in the SEC championship game 1,000,000%. And I'm not mad about that. So let's continue to have that type of focus when we talk about this team because these are the competitors. And look, the guys that have transferred out, I love the leadership on this team. They're like, look, if you don't want to be here, then excuse yourself out. There's a door. This team had leaders going into the season, but I'm starting to see new leaders kind of rise up towards the back end. I mean, even a young guy like Ryan Williams talked about leadership. How about that? When a 17-year-old on your team starts talking about leadership, that's impressive. So getting to Dave Portnoy, the El Presidente, right, of Barstool. I'm sure you saw this yesterday. Dropped $100,000 on Alabama at plus 1,000 for the Crimson Tide to win the college football national championship. The bet would net out 1.1. That's million, right? I think what I get from this is I think last year he bet on Michigan, as someone said inside the comment box, right? And Michigan ended up winning. Isn't he a Michigan alum? I found this picture of him in an Alabama jersey. Mac Jones, this is dope. But I like Jarvis. We talk about the odds all the time. I do like the bet. And right now, the way I'm seeing it, I'm going to show some odds here in a second because after this, I went to a wormhole and started looking at college football odds. But I'm seeing Alabama as of today at plus 800. He got him at plus 1,000. He told everybody before that Tyson fight. Remember that stupid Tyson fight against Paul, right, the other night? He was like, this is the easiest money you'll ever make if you bet on Jake Paul. Like he told us what was going to happen. clearly, I don't have $100K to bet on a game like this, but I do like the bet. And my point in bringing this up is people are starting to now turn their attention towards Alabama, 100%. For many different reasons, and I think the biggest reasons are they're starting to look at Alabama over the last 3 games instead of the first 6 games, right? And that's it. They have so much momentum. They're playing really good on defense, and I think everybody knew that Alabama's offense is what they're capable of just because of Jalen Milroe, but people were sus of the defense. And now that they're seeing the defense starting to rise up, they are becoming back to a college football favorite. Because there for a while, I think Alabama was like off the board. I don't know what the lowest Alabama went in terms of odds, in terms of winning the college football championship, but at plus 1,000, it's only going to get lower and lower before we get to the college football playoffs. I would imagine when it's all said and done, when we enter the actual playoffs, they'll probably be at like plus 400, maybe even like plus 350. I'll rat poison, but those are the facts. I mean, they have so much momentum, and I think what you're about to see against Oklahoma, those odds are going to continue to go down because people will be talking Alabama football more than ever following this Oklahoma game. That's my opinion. So as I said, then I started going down a wormhole and looking at odds. I like to look at odds. Look, and what was interesting is the odds that Vegas has compared to the college football seedings and playoffs. So let me set the stage for you, okay? We've talked about this before. Oregon, currently number 1 in the college football rankings at plus 450. And I just went off these odds today. Ohio State at plus 320. Those are the highest odds right now. Or lowest, rather, to win the college football championship. Texas at plus 500. Penn State at plus 2,000, Indiana at plus 2,500, and Notre Dame at plus 2,000, Alabama at plus 800, and then Miami at plus 4,000. All right. So then I was like, I started to kind of dive deeper. Ole Miss plus 1,000. You can see on the screen, right? BYU plus 20,000. This is fun. So let me break this down. So these are the current seedings. Remember, seedings are different than rankings. And the current seedings from the playoff committee based off their playoff rules looks like this on the left. Oregon at plus 450, Texas at plus 500, Miami at plus 4,000, Boise State at plus 15,000. That's your number 4 seeded team in the playoffs right now. Ohio State, Penn State at plus 2,000, Indiana at plus 2,500, Notre Dame at plus 2,000, Alabama at plus 800. Do you see what I'm saying? Vegas knows. And they have BYU right now at plus 25,000. And I agree, KTK. BYU probably be out. I would imagine that they lose against Arizona State. If Vegas seeded the teams, this is what it would look like, okay? Now, Vegas doesn't have, this is how we seed the teams, but T and I, what we did this morning was we seeded the teams based off the odds. I thought it would be fun to look at like this. So if Vegas seeded the teams, this is what it looks like. They would have Ohio State at plus 320 as the number 1 seed, then Oregon at plus 450, Georgia at the 4, Texas at the 4. So those would be your 4 teams that had buys. Look, I think that the ranking should be based off the best overall teams. I really do. Look at the current seedings compared to if we went off the Vegas odds. Alabama would be at 5. Colorado in at plus 5,000. See that compared to BYU on the bottom left? Which would set up an Alabama-Colorado matchup in the first round. Just saying. Winner would play Texas in a New Year's 6 game. Ole Miss would play Tennessee. Notre Dame would play Miami, and Penn State would play Indiana. Timothy, what's up, man? I appreciate you being here. Thank you so much. So that's if Vegas seeded it. I actually like the Vegas seedings more than I do the current college football playoff seedings. Then I dove deeper. And then I started looking at odds to win conference titles. Okay. Odds to win the SEC. Texas at plus 140. Bama at plus 160. And Georgia at plus 300. Of course, a couple things have to happen for Georgia to get into the SEC title game. Right now, it looks like a collision course between Alabama and Texas. That could be derailed, but between Alabama losing against Oklahoma or Auburn and Texas losing one of their last two games. Odds to win the big, you got Ohio State at plus 100, and at plus 240 is Oregon, even though Oregon beat Ohio State earlier this year. And then look at, Vegas sees Indiana as a pretender as well at plus 5,000. Odds to win the ACC. Miami, SMU, Clemson. Odds to win the Big 12, Colorado, huge favorite, minus 110. BYU and then ASU. Those two teams play each other this weekend, by the way, BYU and ASU. And then I was like, since I'm already here on Vegas Insider, I might as well look at the Heisman Trophy, right? So at one point in time, I think Jalen Milroe was like, after the Georgia game, he was like plus 400 to win the Heisman Trophy. And then after he went on that little mid-year slump, he slid down all the way to like plus 4,000. Today, I saw it on Vegas Insider at plus 3,000. The overall favorite is Travis Hunter. At least the favorite at this point in time. I've seen the Colorado athlete be in mock drafts, number 1, number 2. Have you seen Travis Hunter play? This young man on each side of the football is truly dynamic. Travis Hunter is a great wide receiver. He's a great defensive back. Do you think that he'll go 1 through 5 in the NFL draft? Would you like him on your NFL team? I follow the 49ers. I would absolutely love for Travis Hunter to be drafted by the 49ers. That's a pipe dream. Yes or no? Type Y for yes. Type N for no. Would you like Travis Hunter on your team? It better be all Ys. I've seen NFL mock drafts actually have Colorado having Shadori and Travis going 1 and 2. In the amount of snaps that he plays on each side of the ball, ultra impressive. By the way, today, Julian Lewis, right? 5-star quarterback. He's set to announce where he's going on the Pat McAfee show. Pat McAfee show. And I think it's all Colorado. Angel's asking me about Boise State's running back. Yeah, I mean, you have... See, the 49ers running back room, I like it. It's just, is Christian McCaffrey, what is the health status of him? I even read today that he didn't practice on Wednesday. Yeah, Jordan Mason is a very good running back. You have a couple other guys that says that, are okay. But, yeah, I mean, even Cam Ward. I would take Cam Ward, too. I think he's going to be a great quarterback in the NFL. Max Tooney saying Julian Lewis going to Colorado. Is that the vibe from, everybody in the recruiting world? Is Julian Lewis going to Colorado? I haven't really followed. I know he decommitted from USC, and I think Colorado is the landing spot. And I guess it's interesting that he would be going to Colorado only because Michael Carroll just visited Colorado. You see what I'm saying? the 5-star commitment that we talked about yesterday, who just visited Colorado. You got to think Coach Prime was like, yo, like, this is the quarterback that we have. This is what we are trying to build. On the flip side, people saying that Coach Prime is going to leave from Colorado to go somewhere else. So I don't know. But anyways, Travis Hunter with a minus 350, which is, basically he's going to walk away with the Heisman, at least at this point in time. And we're only going to watch more Colorado football as we get towards the later part of the season because they're now the Big 12 favorite. Here's a look at the college football slate. I know it's a little bit, it might be a little bit tight, but let me talk about some of these games. This is the ACC. So you have Georgia Tech taking on NC State. Georgia Tech favored by 8.5. You have Miami hosting Wake Forest. The Hurricanes are a minus 24-point favorite in that game. SMU is traveling to Virginia. SMU is a 10-point favorite. Other games taking place, you have UConn taking on Syracuse. Boston College hosting North Carolina. Clemson, who is number 17, hosting the Citadel. No other games really that catch my attention. Maybe Pittsburgh taking on Louisville, where Louisville is an 8-point favorite. That is the what to watch in the ACC. Now, in the Big 12, you have number 14 BYU on the road against Arizona State, who is number 21. Arizona State is a minus 3-point favorite. Who are you taking right now inside the comment box, BYU or Arizona State? In this Big 12 showdown with a lot on the line, BYU on the road in Tempe to take on Arizona State. Type B for BYU, type A for Arizona State. I think we roll with Arizona State. BYU coming off a loss, kind of trending the wrong way. Angels taking Arizona State. Big Chevy's taking Arizona State. I think it'll be tight. The total points on this game is 48.5. I think you probably go over that point total as well. Give me Arizona State. While we're in the Big 12, let's talk about Colorado taking on Kansas. Kansas just beat BYU. The game is at Arrowhead Stadium. Should be a monster crowd to watch number 16 Colorado take on, I don't know if they're a surging Kansas, but a Kansas team that probably has a little bit of momentum. Colorado is favored by just 3 points. Is there anyone inside the comment box that thinks that Kansas can upset Colorado? Type C for Colorado and type K for Kansas. I think this is going to be a close game. Some of these Colorado games have been tight. They've been entertaining to watch. I think Colorado, there's a lot to play for. I think Coach Prime will be able to win this game. -3, I'd take Colorado by a touchdown. And the over set at 59.5. I'll take over points as well. Run the Table Sports TV inside the comment boxes with me. And who else? Chad is with me as well. So type C for Colorado, K for Kansas. KTK is taking Kansas. As we look at the Big Ten this weekend, Friday night action, you have Purdue taking on Michigan State. But the big one in college football, and we'll do one more vote off on this game, Indiana taking on Ohio State. I'll give you one more opportunity to vote on this game, okay? Type I for Indiana, type O for Ohio State. Ohio State is now favored by 13.5 points. The total points is 51.5. I think there'll be less points than that. I'm taking Ohio State. And I think Ohio State will win by more than 2 touchdowns. The game is at 11 a.m. on Fox. I think the difference in this game will be Ohio State's offense, and I don't think Indiana will have any answers. I think the crowd in Columbus will be – this is another team that I think is starting to play some good football, is Ohio State. I kind of see Ohio State rising, same thing with Alabama. Are they in a collision course to meet each other in the title game? I don't know. But Ohio State, I think, is playing some pretty good football. Other games in the Big Ten include Illinois at 25 taking on Rutgers. Penn State on the road taking on unranked Minnesota. Northwestern taking on Michigan. And USC taking on UCLA at the Rose Bowl. In the SEC preview for this weekend, you start off with an 11 a.m. game between Ole Miss and Florida. Two former coaches from Coach Saban's ecosystem, Lane Kiffin and Billy Napier. Ole Miss is a 10.5 point favorite. The total for this game is 55.5. Type O for Ole Miss, type F for Florida. Is anybody going for Florida in an upset victory? Is anybody taking Billy Napier to beat Lane Kiffin? I have to say, it's been pretty impressive to see Jackson Dart, Ole Miss's quarterback, this season. He's put up some really good numbers. This is an interesting game. I'm taking Ole Miss, but I think it might be tight. The Swamp is a tough place to play at regardless. And you know what I have to say is credit to the Florida Gators, because I think when I looked at their schedule in the preseason, I thought that Billy Napier would have been fired by midseason and this back end would just be by assistant coaches. But Florida's held tight in probably the toughest schedule in all of college football. I think they have Florida State next week, which I would imagine they beat the Seminoles. Other games in the SEC, you have UMass taking on Georgia. Georgia is a 42-point favorite in that one. You have UTEP taking on the Tennessee Volunteers. Tennessee favored by 41.5. Kentucky on the road in Austin taking on the Texas Longhorns. Texas is a 20-point favorite. How we feel about that Kentucky and Texas game? All Texas? I think it'll be all Texas because it's in Austin. Teams that have gone to Lexington, it's been tight. And the reason I ask about that Kentucky and Texas game, you can't always compare scores, but Kentucky should have beat Georgia. 1,000,000%. They should have. They mismanaged that game. I'll never forget it. They mismanaged the game. And Georgia beat Texas handedly. Max Tooney's taking Texas in an easy win. Louisiana Tech at Arkansas. Missouri taking on Mississippi State in Stark Vegas. And then Alabama on the road taking on Oklahoma. Alabama now a 13.5 point favorite. I think it's 14. And the total is 47.5. I think when you look to Alabama and Oklahoma, I think 47.5 is the total points. I think there's going to be way more than 47 points in this game. I mean, Angel has Alabama winning by like 50 or 60. So let me ask you this. Do you think there'll be more than 47 total points between Alabama and Oklahoma? Type Y for yes and for no. I think yes for sure. We got Texas A&M taking on Auburn. Okay? That one's at the barn. Now, stay with me here. Texas A&M versus Auburn is an interesting matchup this weekend. Mike Elko having a really solid season, only one loss right now in the SEC. They can avoid no slip-ups because they have a big one coming up against Texas. If they win against Auburn, if they win against Texas, they're in the SEC title game. Now, Hugh Freeze is trying to derail everybody on the back end of the season. Going to the barn, there's voodoo there. We all know that. Interestingly enough, Texas A&M, who is ranked 15th, going to play unranked Auburn. The line on this game is -2 Texas A&M. Vegas knows that when you go to the barn, it's crazy. Is there anyone inside the comment box that thinks that Auburn could upset Texas A&M? I don't know. That game's at 6:30, so we'll be watching the scoreboard. We won't be watching the game. Who knows? Okay, last matchup in the SEC. Okay. Vanderbilt taking on LSU. Diego Pavia and company travel to Baton Rouge to take on the LSU Tigers. We see it all the time. LSU has started to make their descent towards the end of the season under Brian Kelly. Vanderbilt has punched way above their belt. LSU at home is favored by 8. The total points is 53.5. I'm kind of liking Vanderbilt in this game to beat LSU. Can you imagine? I'd love to see Brian Kelly after that. A lot of people taking Vandy. Vandy versus LSU, 2 quarterbacks that we've seen already. Diego Pavia, Garrett Nussmeier. It would be fun to watch the press conference, I'm not going to lie. So I think if you're watching kind of upsets at Texas A&M, Auburn, and Vanderbilt on the road taking on LSU. All right. Let's do a little bold prediction Thursday. I'd love some feedback inside the comment box. All right. Let's go over it point by point before we start voting. Or maybe we'll go through point by point and then we'll rank these on likelihood they're going to happen on a scale of 1 to 10, right? So the first one is, and we're on A here. This is bold prediction Thursday. Do you think Alabama will allow less than 10 points against Oklahoma? On a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being the absolute highest that this happens, or 1 being like no chance, go ahead and vote on it. Alabama has allowed just 2 touchdowns in the last 12 quarters of play. Oklahoma's offense is ranked 117 in the country. Oklahoma, okay, before I even get to point B, has allowed 41 sacks. So 10 if you think that Alabama allows less than 10 points, or 1 that Oklahoma scores more than 10 points. I don't know. I'm kind of feeling the fact that Oklahoma just has trouble on offense, and I think that Alabama allows less than 10 points. I know it's on the road. I understand that. I don't know. I'm feeling pretty confident in A. That's going to be my bold prediction. My bold prediction is that Alabama holds Oklahoma to less than 10 points. That would be crazy if they do that at Norman. I know, but we're talking bold predictions here. Got to come with it. Christian, what's up? I see you inside the comment box. Okay, so people feel maybe like a 6. I get it. That's a tough one. Okay, how about this? 5 quarterback sacks. Oklahoma has allowed 41 sacks this year, which is the most in college football. Will Alabama get 5 sacks, at least 5 sacks against Oklahoma? Is it likely to happen? 10, like it's going to happen? Or 1, no way? 5 sacks is a lot. I think Jahad Campbell could have like 3 sacks. Chris from New Jersey saying 10. Brian saying 10. People feeling good about this. Okay. 4 would be great. You get 4 sacks in a game. That is like tremendous. But I'm just telling you, you know what? I think considering what's going on with Keanu Coate leaving and Quay Rusaw and Yanzi now stepping up, I think Alabama will kind of have a low-key flex and saying, look, we can get quarterback pressure. We're going to send you. And where Alabama is the most effective when getting after the quarterback is not so much the wolf position or even guys up front, from the defensive line. I think it is the inside linebackers that are best at sending pressure. Whether that's Deontay Lawson or Jahad Campbell. When those guys are let go and chasing down the quarterback, that is your best pressure for Alabama, period. I don't know if I'm going to go with 5 sacks, though. That's tough. People feeling really confident about this one, though. All right. We're on C now. How about 4 forced turnovers? Say that 3 times fast. 4 forced turnovers. I mean, they've been averaging what like the last couple games, they've been racking up turnovers like nobody's business. I could see 4 forced turnovers. Yeah, I'll go with that. That's a lot. I mean, these are tough. Darius, what's up, man? See you inside the comment box. Darius is saying 0, a shutout. Darius, I'm saying they'll hold Oklahoma than less than 10 points too. We are on C right now. Okay, how about we move to D? What is the tomorrow we'll take calls. What is the likelihood that Indiana beats Ohio State on a scale of 1 to 10? How you feeling about that? 10 means that you're feeling absolutely confident. This is your upset of the week. This is your bold prediction. Or is it like 1? Like, stop. Mine's like 1. Darius is saying that Indiana's going to beat Ohio State. Angel's saying no chance in hell for Indiana. Big Chevy's feeling the upset as well. Man, Indiana wins this game. Indiana fans are going to be on our channel on Monday. I really haven't said anything bad about Indiana. I guess I've been calling them a pretender for the last, 3 weeks. I have to go find one of those clown noses, right? I think I saw I think I saw Josh Pate do that. And then everybody forgave him. So I'll do that too if Indiana wins. Okay. I know this one's a little sticky. We don't like Auburn around here. But does anybody think that Auburn beats Texas A&M? What is the likelihood of this? 10 it's going to happen, or 1 it's not going to happen? I don't know. I'm feeling I might go with a 5 here. Last year, Kirby Smart had a tough time playing at the barn. So did Coach Saban. I think that this game, I could see it being 24-17 Texas A&M or something like that. Mike in Austin is saying 5. Max Dooney's saying 6. I'm going with 5. Jay's going with 0. It looks like maybe the pulse is 4.5, maybe 5. It's going to be an entertaining game. Okay, and how about F? Does anybody feel our beloved Army beats Notre Dame? On a scale of 1 to 10, what is the likelihood that you think the Army beats Notre Dame? I'm going to say 0. And you know what's going to happen is Notre Dame is going to be pumping their chest after beating Army, and they're going to probably rise up in the rankings. And they will, because if Ohio State beats Indiana, right, Army will continue, or Notre Dame will continue to climb. No, Army doesn't beat Notre Dame. I wish it would happen, but it's not going to happen. Angel's feeling good. 50-50 are in Notre Dame and Army. Van is saying 0. Rich B saying 3. Oceanic Jazz is saying 5. I love that username. We hit on Keanu Coate yesterday. We talked about the Wolf position as well. Looked at the bracket. Talked about Jalen Milroe this season. Those numbers are crazy. Alabama, Oklahoma. We continue to hit on this as well. I love the caller yesterday that said that in Walmart, Oklahoma is still playing, what was it? The Sugar Bowl from many years ago. I might replay that call today on the show at some point in time. Quickly, my keys to the game real fast. I want Alabama to continue to run. Can you list 2 keys to the game inside the comment box? Keys to the game for Alabama beating Oklahoma. 2 keys to the game. Here are my 3 keys to the game for Alabama beating Oklahoma. Number 1, run the football. Don't get away from what you've been doing in the past 3-4 games, and that is running the football. If you continue to establish a run game, and I don't care if you're running design runs with Jalen Milroe or if you're feeding Jam Miller or Justice Haynes or Richard Young or there's some sort of a combination, keep the ball on the ground, right? I think eliminating bad plays, like Coach Saban has talked about before, turnovers or whatever, not to say that Jalen Milroe is going to throw interceptions. I just think that when this team runs the football and they control the time of possession, or at least win the time of possession, they are going to be difficult to beat by anybody in the rest of the world of college football. And I think you still take your shots downfield when you need to, but run the ball. My second thing is, and it lines up exactly what Alabama has been doing so far, and that is create turnovers. And how you do that is you get pressure on the quarterback. I think it's going to fall right into line with what we've been talking about. Oklahoma's offensive line is not going to be able to stop Alabama's pass rush, and I think that pass rush will create turnovers. And the third thing is play really well on special teams. I think special teams play down the stretch is going to be critical. I was just thinking about this recently. I wouldn't be surprised, and this is another prediction down the road. I'm predicting that at some point Ryan Williams returns a punt for a touchdown. I can just feel it. I hope that you guys keep the receipts on this so we can replay this. Robert Mahan inside the comment box says, run the ball, cut down penalties, and be very aggressive. That's probably an area that I missed out on, was the penalties. Right now, Alabama's like, 128th in penalties? That's averaging almost 9 penalties per game. They're still winning, and they're still playing really good football. And I think the penalties have been slowly kind of on the decline. But, yeah, good point out on that. Rich B says, front 7, doing work on defense, and run the rock. I think a lot of comments, run the football. And I don't care, in any type of combination, just run the ball. And I'm not saying don't throw it. I'm saying, take the air out of the game. Take the air out of Norman, run the rock, take some big shots downfield. You know what? I liked what I saw against LSU, and I liked what I saw against Mercer. Right? Execution. And of course, you got to stay healthy because it's a gauntlet of a season. I mean, you still got a lot of games left. And I think when you start to look at those SEC injury reports that are coming out, you see Oklahoma's pretty banged up. A lot of teams are banged up. Alabama's lost some guys, right? Cole Adams done for the year. Keon Sabb done for the year. Q-Rob done for the year. Keanu Coate out. Jaheim Otis out. It's 5 guys. Jalen Hell, he was injured. Didn't even play this season. That's 6 guys, right? Got to play well on the road. Tomorrow's my score prediction show. 10 a.m. Central Time. I'm going to take your calls, and we are going to take score predictions. Score predictions and MVP, that is on my Friday show. As news happens, I got you covered right here at Bama Football on YouTube. All day long, I'm posting videos as they happen right here on Bama Football on YouTube. I wouldn't be here without you, so I appreciate you guys rocking with me right here on Bama Football on YouTube. If you could drop me a thumbs up, I appreciate all the super chats, the support for you guys being fan funders of Bama Football on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook as well. Alabama football or Bama football on YouTube, on Facebook. And remember, these can be listened to on or downloaded via podcast on Apple and Spotify. Yes, and tomorrow is the big 4-1 for Kyle. Yep, it'll be 41 tomorrow. So I appreciate you guys. I'll be celebrating with you guys tomorrow right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Coming to you from Hollywood, Alabama. Kyle Henderson, Bama Football on YouTube. Have a beautiful day. Stay tuned for more videos to be uploaded all the time right here on Bama Football on YouTube. See you guys.